As a further breakdown from summary groups, you then go into report category setup. Now, report category is a further breakdown. So for example, where we have the summary group maybe of food, for example, you can now break this down into subcategories that will offer a little more detail. For example, in this case, I've got breakfast food. So all the items that show up on the breakfast menu would be allocated to this report category. And within here, I can generate back office reports that will show me what my sales were for specifically breakfast food. Now, underneath the description of that, we have summary groups. So I'm allocating this report category to the summary group of food, where you can choose from one of the existing summary groups. Next, we have revenue center. If you're working with multiple revenue centers, then you can also allocate this out as well in terms of which one it applies to. Default print location indicates where this is going to print when it's ordered. So in here, I will have a list of all of my print channels. And from here, all of my foods will print maybe on one channel, my beverages will print on another, and so on. So in here, for example, I can state that when I order anything that falls under breakfast food, then it will print to this given location. And you can select multiples of these. Down the left-hand side, we have default taxes for this group. So in this, what you're doing is you're applying the appropriate taxes for all the items, for example, within the breakfast menu. And so you just select on the desired ones within here. Over to the right of that, we have default modify screens. And so within here, we have the modifier page grid. And so when I order an item that is under the report category of breakfast food, then these are the modifier pages that will show up automatically for that given item. Over to the right of that, we have schedule. Selecting on this, I can actually go in here and select one of the 10 price levels for this given report category. So any item that's breakfast food, for example, by default will go to Schedule A, being the general price for the item. But if, for example, I may want to have some kind of special pricing for my breakfast, maybe at the first thing in the morning, that I can have maybe a lower price programmed in to Schedule B. So within here, simply select on the range that you want, and then choose, for example, Schedule B. Now what will happen is that all of the breakfast items for this report category will now flip over to price level B between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. in the morning. As soon as 9:01 occurs, then it will flip back to Schedule A. You can also use this one that says not present. So if I select on that, then that means that from 1 o'clock p.m. until 4 o'clock p.m., these items will not be available on the menu. The whole point of doing all of this programming within report category is that it allows you to apply common programming to all of these items rather than do it on a per item basis. You can still override the settings for the report category within product setup.